Okay, so here we go now with the phosphorus cycle. So we're continuing on talking about the ways that the ecosystems are interconnected between the biotic and abiotic factors. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the steps and reservoir interactions in the phosphorus cycle. To accomplish this goal, we're going to identify the major reservoirs for phosphorus, describe the path of phosphorus through the cycle, and describe how humans have impacted the phosphorus cycle. So phosphorus, that's an element found in a lot of rocks and sediments, cycles through three main reservoirs: the Earth's crust, through the water, and through living organisms. So phosphorus, again, very important in DNA. You're not going to have that backbone in your DNA without some phosphorus. So the Earth's crust is our biggest reservoir where all of this phosphorus is stored. So the way that animals get this phosphorus into their body is by eating plants. The plants get this phosphorus through the use of fertilizers, which come from the phosphate extracted from mines. Additionally, they can uptake that phosphate that's dissolved in the ocean. But it's important to know that a lot of ecosystems don't have enough phosphorus, so we've had to supplement. So we have phosphorus in our own body, and you see over here the organic decomposition allows that phosphorus to go back into the soils, which makes it again available by plants, which then gets eaten by animals, which then gets recycled back in through the animal waste. And that's a relatively quick process. It moves through the plants and the animals and back into the animal waste and the decaying plants and back into the soil pretty quickly. But otherwise, the erosion from the phosphate rocks is a very slow system and takes a long time. It's also that there is no atmospheric component. This is the only one of the cycles we're going to look at that doesn't have an atmospheric component because the phosphate does not exist as a gas. So much like the nitrogen, because phosphorus is a limiting factor and the plants need phosphorus to grow, we add fertilizer into our pastures to make that grass grow even better, which then runs off into our waterways. And it's a great fertilizer for plant growth on the land. It also is for that algae in the water. And that leads to a whole host of other problems that we'll be discussing. So there is no atmospheric component to the phosphorus cycle, and it's a limiting nutrient in many ecosystems. And remember that the major reservoir of phosphorus is the rocks and sediments containing the phosphorus minerals. So just to keep that in your mind, that most of the phosphate mined in the United States comes from just 4 counties in Central Florida.